Hi, my name is John Overholt, and right now I want to share with you my favorite topic, and that has to do with short-term missions, long-term impact. I've been involved with missions since 1984, and when my wife and I and our two kids went with Youth with a Mission, Youth with a Mission started back in 1956, with Lauren Cunningham receiving a vision from the Lord about waves crashing onto the shores of countries, and this movement has continued on and continues today. After our experience with Youth with a Mission, my heart's desire was to continue, but the Lord said, no, you go back to your local church and you train and you teach what you have learned. The benefits include benefits to the team members, benefits to the local church that is sending the team, benefits to those that are on the receiving end, the local churches and the communities, and actually the benefits to the Lord Himself. Number one, short-term mission teams help us to get in the game. It helps us to get onto the court. You know, I see a Sunday morning service, wonderful time of fellowship and learning and worship, but I see it kind of like a Raptors game where the team is in the locker room before the game and the coach is encouraging the team, come on guys, we can do this, we've practiced, we can learn, and so let's go out there and get them. I think we need to understand that the Sunday morning service really is not a game. When we leave the church services, that's when we get into the game, and that's where we get to be involved. We live in an information age where I think we figure that just because we have gained information, just because we have studied the Bible and we know information about the Bible, we kind of figure, well, we're maturing, when in fact God calls us to not only receive information, but that we're called to obey what the Bible says. Matthew 28:19 says, Jesus, his command, wasn't a suggestion, was to go and to make disciples. I mean, if we do a Bible study on the word go ye, the original language means you go. What purpose is there for light to bring light to the light? I mean, a church service, we're full of Christians, we're full of light. We are called to be light in the darkness. We are called to be light and to salt. A salt shaker is meant to hold salt, but the purpose of salt is to be shaken out of the salt shaker. And so, for example, a mission team gives us an opportunity to send out our members to actually be salt, to be light, and to do this not just in their Jerusalem, not just in Judea or Samaria, but to go to the ends of the earth. One of the great benefits that I have seen over the past 34 years of being involved with short-term missions is that it gets us onto the court. You know, another great benefit of sending short-term mission teams is that it gets us out of our bubble. I've heard, I guess some people question the value of sending teams. Isn't it just for the team members themselves? I think to myself, well, of course, going on a short-term mission is going to impact you. It's going to give a benefit to those that are going. I mean, that's a good thing. I just came back from my 101st mission team to Costa Rica and Nicaragua, and like the previous 100, I was amazed by how much I received, how much I was impacted, and our team members were impacted. And so, of course, there's great value for the team members going. It gets us out of our comfort zone. You know, it's sometimes, I would say, a lot of times, it's very difficult to build your faith within your comfort zone. I mean, it's very hard to not be impacted by visiting the people that make money in the dump in Ciudad Sandino. Remember, our last team was there, and looking down the alley and seeing the smoke and wandering down there, and sharing the gospel with the people there. Intimidating, yes, a little bit, perhaps even fearful. I know our missionaries that are working there mentioned to us, make sure you don't bring any money or your wallet, cell phones, watches, anything down there. I remember going and watching the dump truck dump load of garbage, and just and like a frenzy of people with what looked like sticks and hose going through the garbage looking for treasure. And then the truck goes away and they stop, and then they look at me. There I am, this gringo, nicely dressed, and I hear some of them cheer, "Hey, gringo, ven, danos dinero, come on, give us some money." But I remember sharing the gospel with some of the people in the corner, and then I see these people with the sticks coming, and greeting them and saying, "Hey, look, I don't have any money, but I do have good news to share with you." I remember Ishmael, afterwards, after receiving a connection, encounter with God, sitting there in amongst the garbage, reading the Gospel of John. And we get to recognize that we as well are cultural beings, and that not everybody lives like we do in Canada, and that it's important for us to be able to look into the eyes of an Ishmael and to see his world, and then to also to have him look in our eyes. And I mean, the contrast and the things you learn. Persecution, I mean, sometimes we get uncomfortable because our Wi-Fi signal is weak, or that Alexa is having trouble turning on our air conditioning. And so getting us out of our comfort zones, perhaps it's maybe a little scary for some of us, but sometimes that's exactly what we need, to be dropped into a place where God is able to teach us and to meet us and to show us what's really important in life, and so that we can see life through others. And that's a great benefit to everybody going on a mission team. One of the best benefits that I have discovered when it comes to short-term mission teams is just the depth of relationship that is built amongst the team members. I mean, you get to know people in your congregation on Sunday mornings, during coffee breaks, and maybe once in a while during groups, but just the depth of relationship that develops during the months of preparation for your team going, and then the actual ministry trip itself. When we come back to the local church again, I mean, we are bonded so much. We know so much more about each other. I mean, true relationship really happens when people have to travel thousands of miles together. You eat together, rub shoulders together, you find peace together, and especially in times that maybe are difficult. I will never forget the time when we were in Youth with a Mission, and we were traveling through the desert and our bus caught fire, and then we became stranded. And I remember saying to the Lord, "Okay, Lord, now what do we do?" But just to see how as a team we came together, we grew through it all. I mean, I probably don't remember the movie I watched a couple of weeks ago, but I will never forget these special times that we've had as a team becoming family. Another benefit of short-term missions is that you will experience God. And so my recommendation for all of our teams is that let's go as pilgrims. Let us go to learn more about the Lord Himself. Life truly is to be lived, and missions just drags us into the lives of others, and it makes us face their reality as well. It puts shoes on the gospel, and it puts the Bible in context. Missions takes the words, "What you do unto the least of these, my brethren, you do unto me. I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was in prison, and you visited me. So along with all the benefits that the individual members of the team can receive, the local churches also benefit. I mean, number one, it's from my own experience, it has been a great training ground to make disciples. It helps us to get people involved. I always tell our congregation that when we send a team out, that it's not just the team that's going, but we're all going, because we're all part. We can all help to supply. We can all pray, and so it becomes a whole church event. And I think that's the way we need to address it every time we take a team. And I've also realized that our mission doesn't start when we, for example, arrive in Costa Rica, and it doesn't end when we come back to Canada. We're always on mission. We're just taking a couple of weeks off, and we're just changing the location. Okay, we've talked about benefits to the members of the church that are going. We've talked about the benefits for the local church sending as well. But we need to realize as well that one of the main reasons that we're going is to be a blessing to those who we are being sent forth to. I remember my wife and I, we've been on both sides of short-term missions. We were full-time missionaries in Costa Rica for 9 years, and so we had teams coming. We had well over 40 teams that came from Canada and the U.S., and so we understand what it feels like when teams come as well. It was like the cavalry comes. A team comes full of energy, excitement, and so they certainly help local churches to be encouraged. They help with, obviously, evangelism, vacation Bible studies, leadership retreats, leadership seminars, and it's just a boost to the local churches. And but one of the main things that I have learned as well is that when we send short-term mission teams, we don't just send them to come and do missions for the people. We come to do missions with them. And so we have intentionally worked at communicating with the leaders that we're going to, and that we say to them, look, we want to come and work with you. We want to come and work alongside of you. We want to do worship with you. We want to do dramas and skits with you. We want to hear from you as well, so that we're doing missions together. And not only that, but there's great benefits to the communities that we're reaching out to. One of the great benefits is that people come to know the Lord. And also that churches are planted. I remember our very first mission back in 1988. We went into a new area in Mexico, and there was no local Foursquare church in the area. We formed a circle, drew hands together, and we said, Lord, raise up a church here. Little did we know that the next year there was the start of a church there, and that church is still going today. And so I have also seen that communities have benefited by people coming to know the Lord, as well as churches being planted. But sometimes we forget that the Lord is also benefited. I mean, His heart is to see people rescued out of darkness. And so when we reach out into areas of darkness, we're just blessing the heart of God. I mean, we are taking away some of the heartache of God as we reach out, as we share the gospel with the poor, as we set the captives free. I mean, this just makes God joyous. And I still believe with all my heart that the angels rejoice over every sinner who calls upon the name of Jesus. And I have seen mission teams bring a lot of joy to the heavenly realm. Okay, let's talk about one more thing. Let's talk about money and missions. I've heard several people question me and say, wouldn't it be more beneficial just to send money rather than than people. I mean, all the money that we spend on sending a team, couldn't that be utilized in a better way? Well, I guess one of the things that our North American mentality has is that money is the fix-all for things. Studies by George Barna, for example, have revealed that the average church in America gives less than 5% of its income to missions, spending 95% on itself. So I honestly don't think that we are overdoing it. And we need to realize that money really is not going to solve the problems of the world. See, money, we have to realize, cannot be a substitute for a personal touch. Money will not be able to hug an orphan boy in Guatemala. Money will not be able to bring encouragement to someone living on the streets in Managua. Money will not be able to bring relationships with people that you meet on the way. And we've met some beautiful people that we continue to be in contact with over the years. Money cannot preach the gospel. Money cannot preach the good news to the poor. Money cannot heal the sick. Money cannot set the captives free. Money cannot teach a leadership retreat. Money cannot do a vacation Bible school. Money will not fulfill the Great Commission. People will. When it comes to money, we can afford to go. God has given us resources, funds, to be a blessing to the nations. Yes, we are the church, but it's not just for us. When we reach out to bless another nation with the resources that we've been given to steward, I believe that God has called us to be generous because He's a giver. And I believe that we need to as well balance the resources that are coming in so that it's not just spent on our own selves, but that we are truly taking it out and taking it to the nations. So we can afford to do this. If we can afford to go to Disneyland or to go to an all-inclusive vacation for 2 weeks, I don't believe that we can grumble or say, well, can we afford to go on a 1 week or a 2 week mission trip? Yes, we can afford it.